ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। कृष्णाय परमात्मने नमः। ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। श्रीकान्तो मातुलो यस्य जननी सर्वमङ्गला जनकः शङ्करो देवः तं वन्दे कुञ्जराननम्। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। Shri Haraye Namaha. Namaste to all of you. We are in Bhagavad Gita. Gita Sugita Kartavyaha Kimanyaihi Shastra Vistaraihi Yasvayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmat Vinisrita. This is a beautiful verse that extols the importance of Bhagavad Gita. It says, you don't need to do any reading of any other book as long as you read Bhagavad Gita. Gita Sugita Kartavyaha. It is important that you study Bhagavad Gita. Kim Anyehi Shastra Vistaraihi. Why take up the study of any other book? Meaning they are not like prohibiting from you from studying other one. They're just wanting to show the importance of Bhagavad Gita. And there are two big reasons. One is Gita is Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Shastra Artha Sangraha. In fact, there is a beautiful verse that says Sarvopanishado Gavo. If all the cows are like the Upanishad, then the calf is Arjuna and the milkman is Krishna. Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsat Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. The milk that he had milked out is the Bhagavad Gita, meaning that is the essence of all the Shastras. So, and this is the essence of all the Shastras. That is one point. Another one is this is also Yoga Shastra. That is the reason why we say it is Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade, Srimad Bhagavad Gita Yam, Shri Krishnarjuna Samvade, Yoga Shastre. It is Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu. That is one phrase indicating that it has all the knowledge of the Upanishads. And we say another phrase after the conclusion of every adhyaya, Yoga Shastre, meaning it gives you the practical suggestions and a roadmap as to how to implement the Upanishadic wisdom in our day-to-day lives. So that is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, and we are in this Chaturtha Adhyaya, fourth Adhyaya, where Jnanena Karma Sannyasa. Through jnana, you give up karma. Give up meaning you don't give up, but we'll see what it means. Jnanena karma sannyasa. That is because the verse that we'll be studying today is something that resonates the main idea of this adhyaya. So from 18 on, these are important verses, and there is a very big bhashyam by Bhagavad Padacharya as well. So to start with, Bhagavan said, Kim karma kima karmeti kavayopyatra mohitaha. Kavayaha api atra mohitaha. Even the wise people have doubts as to what is karma and what is akarma. So there are two terminologies that Bhagavan wants to put forward and teach a concept with that terminology. Kavayopyatra mohitaha tate karma pravakshyami. I will teach you that. Yajñatva mokshase ashubhat. But why should you teach me? Then there is a reason. Moksha se ashubhat, samsarat. Ashubhat means samsarat. We saw this in the last satsang. So Bhagwan,
I can't hear you. ఇది ఎక్కడ ఎప్పుడెక్కడ అవుద్ది 9:40
Sita aunty, you can mute.
Oh, I thought I did.
No, no, you're here. Ikkada. Okay. So, Yajnatva mokshase ashubhat. So with this introduction, because whenever an important concept is taught by Bhagavan, he praises the concept. He gives an intro as to how important this is. And because this is an important concept, Bhagavan wants to talk about it. There is one other verse that talks about it. Amitji, do you want to unmute and chant with me? कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यम्
कर्मणो यपि बोद्धव्यम्
बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः
बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मः
अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यम्
अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यम्
गहना कर्मणो गतिः
गहना कर्मणो गतिः
कर्मणो ह्यपि बोद्धव्यं बोद्धव्यं च विकर्मणः अकर्मणश्च बोद्धव्यं गहना कर्मणो गतिः. So one other verse where Bhagavan is talking about it is not enough that you know about karma and akarma. There is one other concept called vikarma. So Bhagavan here says, uh, कर्म नाम देहादि चेष्टा लोक प्रसिद्धम अकर्म नाम why is this, give me 1 second, let me try to uh, are you able to see the entire bhashyam here, or is the first few letters not visible?
No, not visible.
Okay, give me 1 second. Is that okay? Chaturtho Adhyaya. Okay, Vaita Sharada. I have a new system. Sorry, let me go back. And hopefully that should. So, karmanascha bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha, akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. Karmanaha, of action, he, indeed, api. Api means also, bodhavyam, should be known. Bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. Vikarmanaha, forbidden action. Vikarma means that you should not perform. Vikarmanascha bodhavyam. You should know. Bodhavyam means you should know. So you should know about karma, akarma, and vikarma. Okay. Gahana karmano gatihi. Gahana means deep. Karmanaha, of action, gatihi, of the path of action. Give me 1 second. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते. Okay, we are getting close. Kim karma kima karmeti. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. Akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. You should discriminate between action and forbidden action. Meaning, what is the things that we are supposed to indulge in and what are the things that we are not supposed to indulge in. And there is something called inaction or akarma. These are difficult to discern and understand. Gahana karmano gatihi. The Bhashyam says karmanaha shastra vihitasya hi yasmat api asti bodhavyam. What is prescribed in the Shastra, meaning the rules and regulations that the human society has, it is called karma. So these are things that you can do. if you live in a society, then there are rules that you have to abide by living in that society, and that changes as to where you live and the society in the times that you live and so on. So awareness of that and living accordingly by the law, the law of the land, karmanaha shastra vihitasya hi yasmat api asti bodhavyam. And Shastra says, if Shastra says, Satyam vada dharman chara, that is bodhavyam. You should know that. Bodhavyam cha astyeva vikarmanaha pratishidhasya. So whenever there is a rule in Dharma Shastra, they say, Atato dharma jigyasa. You should learn about dharma. Adharma jigyasa cha. So you should also learn about what is adharma. Why should you learn about what is adharma? Then only you can abstain from it. So it is not just enough you know what you should do, you should also know what you shouldn't do. So what is forbidden by the Shastra, you should know. That is called vikarmanaha. Tata akarmanascha tushnim bhavasya bodhavyam asti iti trishvapyadhik अद्याहारः कर्तव्यः. So all these three, karma, vikarma, those two are very clear. So the actions that one needs to perform, the actions that are forbidden, and there is one other concept called akarma. We'll see what it is. So
Do's
that,
and don'ts, kind of.
yeah, do's and don'ts, exactly. That is karma and vikarma. Yasmat gahana vishama durgyeya karmanaha iti upalakshyartham karmadinam. So to know the real meaning of this is hard. Karma karma vikarmanam gatihi. So karma and akarma, do's and don'ts, that you can very easily understand. But Bhagwan brings another concept called akarma. So karma and vikarma, that actions and forbidden actions, do's and don'ts. Those are easy to know. But in between those two, Bhagavan brings another idea called akarma. Gatihi tatvat ityartaha. Knowing it correctly is a little difficult. Gahana karmano gatihi. Gahana karmano gatihi. Interestingly, the word gahanaha means very deep, meaning it is a little difficult. Bhagavan himself is called Gahana. In Vishnu Sahasranama, Guhyo Gabiro Gahano Guptas Chakragadadhara. Gahana, it points to Bhagavan himself because um, it is very difficult to envision it because Bhagavan also has that characteristic. Once, when Vivekananda was initially coming and sitting near Ramakrishna's gatherings, so he was in the initial days of his life when he was getting associated with Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. I think it was in Chandrasen's house or somebody's house. I forgot where it is. I have to look at day by day by Dr. M. But they all wanted to talk about a big guy there. They want Ramakrishna Paramahamsa to talk about this guy. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, yes, I'll talk about him. He is like a great lamp that is lit. He brings light and so on. And then he looked at Vivekananda, who was sitting. That amount of acquaintance hadn't happened between them. So he pointed at Vivekananda and said, this guy, this is equivalent to a sun. This will enlighten the entire universe. And he said, you will do it. Vivekananda looked at him and thought he is a completely lunatic. He's a complete lunatic. He is somebody who has lost his mind. He just like looked at him and then went to Gahana Karmano Gatihi because he was able to envision it. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was able to envision what Vivekananda would be doing in his lifetime even before he had any idea about what was possible for him. So, I just wanted to give that as an example as Gahana Karmano Gatihi. How action takes place is indeed a mystery. So, Gahana Karmano Gatihi. And Bhagavan comes to explain this. Yat bodhavyam vakshyami iti pratignatam uchyate. You said you will explain this. Let me explain it to you. Srinivas ji, can you read with me? There is a mistake here, but कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्चेत्. You can unmute, or Amit, if you can.
Yeah, sure.
कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्चेत्.
कर्मण्य कर्म यः पश्येत कर्मणि च
न्यकर्म
कर्म
यः
यः sorry.
पश्चेत्. अकर्मणि च कर्म यः
अकर्मणि च कर्म यः
स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु.
स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु
स युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्मकृत्.
स युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्म कृतः
Yeah.
sorry
स युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्म कृत्.
yeah
कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्चेदकर्मणि च कर्म यः स बुद्धिमान् मनुष्येषु स
मनुष्येषु
युक्तः कृत्स्न कर्म कृत्.
कृतः
So this is more like a riddle. So what
yeah
Bhagavan says is karmani, in karma, action, akarma. Akarma means inaction. Yaha, whoever, paschet, would see. Akarmani, in inaction, cha karma, action, yaha, he, buddhiman, who is the one who sees actionlessness in action and action in actionlessness, who is able to see karma in akarma and akarma in karma. Okay. He is a buddhiman. He is a very wise person. Manushyeshu. Among the humans, he is a very intelligent person. He is a very wise person. Saha, that person, yuktaha. Yuktaha, Shankaracharya is going to give a meaning. Yuktaha is a yogi. Yuktaha means somebody who has understood it very correctly. Kritsna karma krit. He's a he is somebody who is all accomplished. He has done everything that needs to be done. So what Bhagavan is saying, that it is a big riddle here. He puts forward the one who sees actionless in action and action in actionlessness is wise among humans. He is a yogi who has done everything that is to be done. He is an all accomplished person. So what does karma means? What does akarma means? Akarma mean? How do you see karma in akarma? How do you see akarma in akarma? So this becomes the subject matter of the discussion of this verse. So there is a very big bhashyam for this. I will try to cover the bhashyam as much as possible because there are very around like 13 to 14 concepts are brought in by Shankaracharya here. Um, Give me 1 second. So let's look at the superficial meaning of this verse. Action or karma is a part of prakriti or nature. Okay, so this is the first point. Action or karma belongs to prakriti. Akarma or being a witness or sakshi is the nature of Atma. So there are two components that make us. One is I am the doer, the other is I am the knower. These two components we have been studying for quite some time. So these two components make us. So we know that I know and I do. So aham karta, aham jnata. I know, I'm able to know, and I perform several things. Now, what is the real I? Is it the karta or the jnata? This was a discussion that we have been having for quite some time. And the conclusion is the karta belongs to my body, my mind, my intellect, and all this. And the jnata is the real me. Aham, that I call, is actually the jnata. So, Prakriti is karma, Atma is akarma. So, Prakriti is karma, Atma is karma, akarma. So, karma is kinetic and Atma is static. So, just something to think about. Becoming something is karma and being is akarma. So, understand it like that. So, the doer is karma, the knower is Atma. So this Atma, another word for Atma is Akarma. So the doer, Karta, is the one who is indulging in his karma. So is there action in the knower? This is the first question. So is there action in the knower? The answer is no. It appears as though the knower is the doer, but the knower is simply the witness. So now if you see that karmani akarma yaf paschet. So if you are able to see that the knower is just the witness in the doer, karmani akarma yaha paschet, the one who sees actionless in atma, who sees atma as the akarta, abhokta, and prakriti as the karta and bhokta, he is ayuktaha. So, Shankaracharya is going to give a very interesting example for this. I'll give you the example prior itself, and we'll go through the bhashyam. So, some very beautiful observations that we see in the bhashyams are like these are people who lived thousands of years ago, Shankaracharya. But when they give an example, they give an example of something that is beyond the time and place that they live. In the sense, they generally select nature because they would know that nature is something that has a much higher lifespan than many of the things that we see around that is man-made. So even Valmiki is like that. In throughout Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, when he wants to say how Rama feels, he would look at a clear point to a clear lake and say that is how he felt, or something like that. There is so much of nature that is connected with an example to prove a point by all these Mahatmas. And uh, the example that Shankaracharya gives is that there is a passenger in a boat during his time, and in our time, a train. Many of us have. So, when you are traveling in a train and the train is so fast, you see all the trees that are there through the window, you see that they're all moving in the opposite directions very fast. You know, he gives that as an example as to how you are seeing karma in akarma. The tree is not moving, but you get an illusion as though that the tree is moving. The same way, the doer, the knower is never the doer, but you get an illusion as though the knower is the doer. So this is just an example-ness. So there is motionlessness that exists in a tree, and you see motion in it due to a phenomenon. So the same way is how you see karmani akarmayaha paschet. So once you understand that the real nature of I is just the witness, never the doer. Another contemporary example is the movie screen is never a part of the movie. Yeah, there are heroes and heroines and villains and comedy and romance and so much that happens on the screen, but the screen never participates in the movie. It is never one other character in the movie. So yeah, the screen is the base in which the movie happens. Like that, the knower is the base in which all the doing happens. And the action that belongs to the body, mind, and intellect is superimposed on the witness Atma. This superimposition makes one think he is the doer. This is the central idea. But we'll churn this idea quite a bit because the Bhashyam is so much on this. Um, your body wants to work incessantly, but yourself, your Atma remains as a witness for it. Then another concept is also there. Akarmani cha karma yaha paschet. So here, when the body, mind, intellect, everything is resting, tushni bhavaha. Bhashakara is going to say that. When you are void of all that action, you think that Atma is resting. But actually, the seed of all the action still remains with you. Even when your mind and intellect and all your senses are withdrawn and you're in deep sleep, when you think that you are in inaction, actually the seed of action still exists with you. In fact, that is the reason why when we wake up and think of all the things we need to do the next day. So all the karma vasana is the bija. So akarmani cha karma yaha paschet. So when you are able to see that actionlessness is actually not there in the doer. Even when he is resting, you are just mistaking the actionlessness of the Atma there. Those two, so you are able to see action in actionlessness, actionless Atma, and you are able to see that the bijam of karma exists in the actionless body mind complex, then you are a wise person. Ah, so says someone knows that the real I is an actionless because I am the witness. Then he is a yogi, according to Bhagavan. Saha yuktaha. And he is someone who has accomplished all that need to be accomplished. Uh, because he knows that the nature of the Atma is Ananda, Ananda Atma. Because of that, he is Kritakritya. He accomplished everything that needs to be accomplished. So we will go, the Bhashyam is very elaborate on this. And there are so many ideas in the Bhashyam. And I will try to go over the Bhashyam because there are around 14 to 16 ideas. I'll give every idea and go through the Bhashyam word by word, or I will either present the idea and present the gist as time permits. So the first idea is what is the meaning of the verse? Karmani. Karmani kriyate iti karma व्यापारमात्रं तस्मिन् कर्मणि अकर्म कर्माभावं यः पश्चेत्. Action means any activity. Karma kriyate iti karma. Seeing inaction in action means knowing that even while acting, the Atma, the self, is not acting. Tasmin karmani akarma karma bhavam yaha paschet. Akarmani cha karma bhave kartru tantratvat pravritti nivrittiyoho. Seeing action in inaction means knowing that even in non-action, the feeling I am not doing is also falsely attributed to the self. So that is seeing akarmani cha karma bhave kartru tantratvat pravritti nivrittiyoho vastu aprapya yaiva hi sarvatra eva kriya karanadi vyavaharaha avidya bhumau eva. All our ideas of action and agent comes from ignorance. avidya bhumau yeva. Karma yaha pasyet pashyati saha buddhiman. The wise person who knows this truth is praised here. Buddhiman manushyeshu saha yuktaha yogi cha kritsna karma krit samasta karma krit cha iti stuyate karma karmano ritare tara darashayi. Somebody who is able to see the difference between karma and akarma and able to see it. So when you take a run, you can feel it. It's a very silly example, but when you run after a certain time, you know that the body is running. You're not running actually. So deep inside that awareness will develop that you are still actually. But that's a very silly example. But this is idea one. So Bhagavad Padacharya gives the literal meaning of the uh, verse. So then he raises an objection. There will be a lot of Purva Paksha and a Siddhanta in this, and it is nice to look at it. So let's look at it. The first objection is, why this contradictory language? So how can you say see inaction in action and action in inaction? Action and inactions are opposite. It is like saying, can you see cold in hot and hot in cold? Is that even a valid way of speaking? Nanu kimidam viruddhamuchyate karmani akarmayaha pasyeti iti akarmani cha karma iti nahi karma akarma syat akarma va akarma. What is this? Tatra viruddham katam pasyet drashta. Is this like this is like saying an error in observation perception? And Bhagavad Padacharya says, now karma eva paramartataha sat karmavat avabhasate mudadrishtehe lokasya. There is no contradiction in this. Ordinary people who are ignorant mistake real inaction to action and real action for inaction. The intent of Bhagavan here is to teach us to see things truly how they are. Tata karmaiva karma tatra yata bhuta darshanartham aha Bhagavan. So actually Bhagavan is giving you the right vision. Bhagavan is not asking you to see something that it doesn't exist in something else or something like that. Karmanya karma yaf pasyeti ityadi ato na viruddham. There is no contradiction in this. Buddhimatvat upapattescha bodhavyam iti cha yata bhutadarshana muchyate. न च विपरीतज्ञानात् अशुभात् मोक्षणं स्यात् यज्ञात्वा मोक्षसे अशुभात्. Bhagavan himself says, when you have the right vision, you will get rid of these wrong understandings. In other, yes, yajnatva mokshase ashubhad, that is there in Gita. Iti cha uktam. So that is the reason why Bhagavan wants to give you the right vision here. Tasmat karma karmani viparyayena grihite प्राणिभिः तद् विपर्यय ग्रहण निवृत्त्यर्थं भगवतो वचनं कर्मण्य कर्म यः पश्येत् इति. So just to liberate you from this wrong understanding that Bhagavan wants to teach you. Like when you mistake a rope for a snake in mid mild light or something like that, and you are a little afraid of it, then that ignorance is taken away by shining light there and understanding that no, that is just some piece of cloth that is sitting there. That's not going to bother us. So that to get rid of that inaccurate vision, Bhagavan wants to teach it. So another small anecdote here is in Mahabharata, the Mahabharata opens, as you know, Vyasa prays to Lord Ganesha, and Lord Ganesha descends and says, I will be your scribe. And then it is not in the original Mahabharata, but they add a small story that Ganesha says you should narrate it without even making a single pause. And I will keep on writing without even making a single pause. And suddenly his pen breaks, and then he breaks his tusk and writes and so on. So, but at the same time, the ask of Vyasa is that he shouldn't pause while he is narrating. And Vyasa also tells Ganesha that you should understand what I am talking about, and then only you should scribe it. So at that point of time, it is said that these kind of a not shlokas that has this thing are put. This is just a small tale to just enhance the rasa. That's all. Don't take it literally, but karma, karmanya karmaya pashyed karma. So stuff like that. When the language is a little cryptic, it is said that Ganesha would look at it and say, "What is he saying?" And then, "Oh, this is what he's saying," and then he'll go on scribing. So that in that few seconds, Vyasa would like take a breath and then go on reciting it. So on. So this is just just to enhance the rasa. That's all. Karmanya karmaya pasya. But there is one deeper meaning to this as to why is this language. The reason why this language is that because we are talking about something that is beyond the grasp of language. So when you objectify things, you can easily use the language and objectify it. Here we are talking about the subject. When subject becomes so yatra vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha, says the Upanishad. When you are when speech fails to explain it, yatra vacho nivartante, when your mind stops to imagine it there, because of atma functioning is when I'm able to speak, I'm able to think, and all that. So atma never becomes an object of my mind or my speech. So we have to use some cryptic language, neti, 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 not this, not this, not this. So you eliminate everything and then finally come to the subject like that. So um, let's look at the bhashyam. So basically the objection is, hey, is the language cryptic? Is there some validity to it? We saw that yes, there is a validity from a rasa perspective too, but there is a validity, a real validity, because we are talking about the subject and it is not the object. Now, nanu karma karma iva sarvesham na kvachit vyabhicharati tat na naisthasya navigacchatyam tatasteshu agadishu nageshu pratikula gati darshanat. So this was the example that was given by Shankaracharya. For example, so the objection is, doesn't action always appear as action to everybody? When there is action, should it always appear as action? How will it appear as inaction? No. Even in the world, there are instances in which action appears as inaction and inaction appears as action. So the distant moving objects sometimes look still, and the objects that are still sometimes look moving. So when you are on a boat in the stationary trees look as though they are moving in the opposite direction. So tatasteshu agatishu nageshu pratikula gati darshanat. Pratikula gati is the opposite direction. So when you travel like this, all the objects look as though they are moving on the other side. Dureshu chakshusha Asannikristeshu gachatsu gatyabhava darshanat. When you are standing in a shore and looking at a boat that is far away, it looks as though it is still, you know. So it is actually moving, but it looks as though it is still. So there is action in inaction and inaction in action. So these are possible in if this inappropriate vision is possible even in a laukika drishti, in the worldly realm. एवं इहापि अकर्मणि कर्मदर्शनं कर्मणि च अकर्मदर्शनं विपरीतदर्शनं येन तन्निराकरणार्थमुच्यते कर्मण्यकर्म यः पश्येते इत्यादि. So just to make sure that you get the right vision, Bhagavan is going to give this give this vision. So is the objection was, hey, is there a possibility for you to see action in inaction in action in action? The answer was yes, and he gave some examples. So um, why is this? Because there is a repeated misconception and the difficulty of understanding the truth. ततेतत् उक्तप्रतिवचनमपि असकृत् अत्यन्तविपरीतदर्शनभाविततया मोमुह्यमानो लोकः श्रुतमपि असकृत् तत्त्वं विस्मृत्य विस्मृत्य मिथ्याप्रसङ्गम् अवतार्यावतार्य चोदयति इति पुनः पुनः उत्तरमाह भगवान् दुर्विज्ञेयं च आलक्ष्य वस्तुनः. So what Bhagavad Padacharya says is, even though this answer has been given many times, people forgetting the truth and raising objections repeatedly because they are deeply attached to the false view. You mistake the body as the Atma. So that is Rudhi Bhava for us. It is so ingrained in us. Unless this teaching is repeatedly done, you will not be able to distinguish between the doer and the knower. The Lord keeps answering these objections because understanding the real self. Durvigneyaha was the pada that was used, the word that was used. It is not very easy to understand. So that is the reason why uh, there are the same questions are being asked, and but many times the teacher would patiently answer the same question because it takes time for the concept to sink in. So that is the reason why, even though this Atma as Akarta has been already taught in Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavad Padacharya says, Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyamuchyate. There, avyaktaha, achintyaha, the nature of Atma as the non-doer has been taught. And even in the second adhyaya, najayate mriyate va kadachinnayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nityashashvatoyam puranaha na hanyate hanyamane sharire. This is the central teaching. Though najayate mriyate, he just points to that, saying these concepts have been repeatedly taught by Bhagavan, and the repeated teaching methodology is because of the difficulty in understanding this. Ityadina atmani karma bhavaha shruti smriti nyaya prasiddha uktaha vakshamanascha. So the scriptures and reason clearly teach that the self is actionless, as shown in the previous verses, like avyaktoyam achintyoyam and najayate mriyate va kadachit. So, so this is a deep-rooted habit. So that tasmin atmani karma bhave akarmani karma viparita darshanam atyanta nirudham. Yataha kim karma kimakarmeti kavayo api atra mohitaha. Even learned people are confused about what is action and what is inaction. Dehadyashrayam karma atman adhyaropya. Dehadyashrayam karma. People wrongly attribute actions of the body and mind. Aham karta, mama yetat karma. I am the doer. I am the agent of this action. Maya asya karmanaha palam bhoktavyam. I should enjoy the fruits of this result. Iti cha tata aham. Like that, aham tushnim bhavami. Similarly, when the body mind is inactive, they attribute this to the self and say that I am quiet, I am happy. Yena aham nirayasaha akarma sukhi syat. Syam iti karyakarnashrayam vyaparoparamam tatkritancha sukitvam atmani adhyaropya na karomi kinchit. They mistakenly attribute this to Atma and say that no, I don't want to do anything. Tushnim sukhamase. I will happily rest. I'm not going to do anything today. Iti abhimanyate lokaha. Tatredam lokasya viparita darshanapana apanayaya. for removing this misconception of the worldly people, karmanya karmayah paschet ityadi. So because this misconception exists, Bhagavan is trying to correct it. Let's look at the bhashyam further. Akarma yaf pashyeti ityadi. Okay. Atra cha karma karmaiva sat karyakarnashrayam karmarahite avikriye atmani sarvaihi adhyastam. Atra karma karmaiva sat. Action actually belongs to the body mind, but everyone wrongly attributes to the actionless, changeless self. And he says the same thing. Yaha panditopi aham karomi iti manyate ataha atma samavetataya sarvaloka prasiddhe karmani nadikulastheshviva vriksheshu gati प्रातिलोम्येन अकर्म कर्माभावं यथा भूतं गत्यभावम् इव वृक्षेषु यः पश्चेत् अकर्मणि च कार्यकरणव्यापारोपरमे कर्म कर्मवत् आत्मनि अध्यारोपि तूष्णीम् अकुर्वन् सुखम आसे इत्यहङ्काराभिसन्देहेतुत्वात् अस्मिन् कर्मणि च कर्म यः पश्येत् यः एवं कर्माकर्म विभावज्ञः सः बुद्धिमान् पण्डितः मनुष्येषु सः युक्तः योगी कृत्स्नकर्मश्च सः अशुभात् मोक्षितः कृतकृत्यो भवति इत्यर्थः. So the actionlessness belongs to Atma and action belongs to the body-mind complex. So this mix-up is the problem here. And this vision of mixing up is what Bhagavan wants to correct it. So this is a central idea. And Bhagavad Pada Acharya gives a summary of what he taught so far. So the summary is very simple. Action actually belongs to the body mind. Everyone wrongly attributes it to the actionless, changeless Atma. Just like the stationary tree seems to be moving when seen from a moving boat, people think the self is acting. Even in inaction, people wrongly think that the self is not acting, like how they see a moving object as stationary from a distance. The person who understands the difference between action and inaction is wise, devoid of evil, and has accomplished everything. See, saha yuktaha saha kritsna karma kriti. So Bhagavad Pada wants to teach that Atma is actionless. You are the knower, not the doer. You have to own up the fact that you are the knower and not the doer. So what is the use of owning it up? That is going to come further. So you are going to become all accomplished. But now we have a small problem. Before the advent of Shankaracharya, there have been Gita commentaries. How do you know? If you ask me, here Bhagavad Padacharya says, Ayam shlokaha anyata vyakhyataha kaischit. Some people have misinterpreted this shloka, or they have given a different meaning for this shloka. Nityanam kila karmanam ishwararte anushtiyamananam tatpala bhavat akarmani tani uchyate gaunya vritya. There is some technicality to all these things, but I won't go to the technicality of the Shastra, but I'll give you the gist of what he is saying. They say if you do your duties and offer it to Bhagavan and say that I'm doing this as directed by Bhagavan, mama upatta durita kshetvara Parameshwara Prityartham, Vishnurajñaya Pravartamanasya, and so on. I'm doing this because of Bhagavad Ajna. And you think that is akarma, that is not true. Gaunyavritya tesham cha akaranam akarma tacha pratyavayava phalatvat karma uchyate gaunyeva vritya tatra nitye karmani akarma yaha paschet palabhavat tata Dhenurapi gauhu agauhu ityuchate kshirakhyam palam cha prayachati iti tadvat. So he gives an example that like how a cow does not give milk is also called as a cow. Once a cow it attains a certain age, it doesn't give you milk. So like how even then if it doesn't give you milk, that cow is called as a cow. Like that, karma is also called akarma if you offer it to Ishvara. Similarly, doing your duty in a selfless way, as they say, yes, is also akarma. So that interpretation has been given by some Mahatmas too, but Shankaracharya refutes it. So no, that is not the right meaning here. The refutation is naitat yuktam vyakhyanam. This meaning is not. It's not yuktam. It's not fitting in this context. Why? He is going to give you the reason. Evam jnanat ashubhat mokshananupapattehe yajnatva mokshase shubhat. So the proclamation here is you will be free of bondage. But what makes you free? नित्यानाम अनुष्ठानम अशुभात स्यात् नाम मोक्षणम न तेषां फलाभाव ज्ञात न हि नित्यानाम फलाभाव ज्ञानम अशुभम. So if you say that nitya karma no ishwararpanataya nitya karma, or knowing that what is what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do, that in itself will produce you moksha. No, that is not correct. So there is quite a bit of Shastra Vishaya there. I'll skip a little bit of that. So is the language figurative? That is another objection that Shankaracharya says. Nanu karmani yat akarma darshanam akarmani cha va karma darshanam na tat mitya jnanam kim tarki. So maybe this is just a figurative way to talk about productive and unproductive actions. So this is akarma and karma are just productive actions, unproductive actions. So kim tarhi, because these ideas have existed during his time. That is the reason why he is refuting these. Gaunam palabhava bhava nimittam na karma karma vijnanadapi gaunat phalasya अश्रवणात् नापि श्रुताह्यन्यश्रुतपरिकल्पनायां कश्चित् विशेष उपलभ्यते. So the scriptures could simply say duties have no results, neglect leads to papam. So there is no need for ambiguous language. What Shankaracharya points out here is very important. So I'll give you the gist of what he is saying here. When you are prescribing do's and don'ts, cryptic language is not used by the Shastra. When Shastra says Satyam Vada, it means Satyam Vada. That's all. There is no cryptic language there. Because legal documents cannot have a cryptic language. Poetry can have cryptic language. So that is his point. So the cryptic language is used here by Bhagavan cannot be taken literally, because these are not injunctions by the Shastra to say that do your duty and stay away from bad things. No, it's not like that. The cryptic language here has a value. So that is the essence of this passage where he says karmanyevadika. So Shankaracharya gives an example where karmanyevadhikaraste. Bhagavan does not use cryptic language when he wants to instruct you in performing an action. There straight language has been used. Iti sputatara uktaha artaha na punar vaktavyo bhavati. So he doesn't need to repeat all this because that has been repeated. Sarvatra cha prashastam bodhavyam cha kartavyameva na nishprayojanam bodhavyam ityuchate. So there are two more concepts in the Bhashyam. I'll go over it now that we are studying the Bhashyam as well, even if I do not give you the entire thing. So the point that Shankaracharya makes is that Shastra never gives you an action that is fruitless, meaning it does not have any purpose. Purposeless action is never directed by the scriptures. That is the essence of this passage of the Bhashyam. Nacha nishpalam nibadhyate karma shastram dukkasvarupatvat dukkasya cha buddhipurvakataya कार्यत्वानुपपत्तेः तदकरणे च निरकपाताभ्युपगमत्. So what he says that scriptures does not tell us to do action without any purpose, and there is so if there is painful action that is given, then there needs to be a purpose for it. So if there is a very steep climb that you are taking, it means that you want to reach the summit. So there needs to be a purpose for it. So if Shastra says do your duty and you have no result, so that does not have, and that will lead to liberation. No, that does not have any purpose. So, it is like saying that you eat this medicine, but it will not cure your disease. Like, no, the intent of eating the medicine is for curing the disease. So, so it is a purposeful ask in the Shastra. Tasmat yata shruta एवार्थः कर्मण्यकर्म यः इत्यादि तथा च व्याख्यातः अस्माभिः श्लोकः. So therefore the verse need to be understood. It teaches the real nature of action and inaction in relation to the Atma. From the locus of Atma, it tells you what is karma and what is akarma. It tells you where does action lies and where does being the observer or the sakshi lies. So that is the intent of this verse. So this is the full bhashyam. There were around like 15 concepts that we saw. I'm not going to summarize all 15 again. That was a little heavy, but it is you understand how some misinterpretations had earlier existed before Shankaracharya's time, how he clarifies that, how he relates to the teaching of the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita in other places, and shows how this idea is consistent with the idea that is talked about Bhagwan from the beginning to the end. So these are characteristics of a Shastra. So some Mahatmas who have come after Shankaracharya have elaborate commentaries on this in this verse because it is a very, very important verse. Karmanya karma yah paschet. So is a very very popular verse, and this verse needs to be understood really. Karmanya karma yah paschet akarmani cha karmayaha sabuddhiman manusheshu sa yuktaha kritsna karma vit. Because once he understands that there isn't anything that needs to be accomplished for him to attain anything, he becomes all accomplished. Kritsna karma vrit, krita krityaha, and so on. So, Jnaneshwara, the Marathi commentator for this verse, also lays the same idea. Then he goes into elaborate examples, like how Shankaracharya gave only one example of like how when we are moving, it appears as though objects that are stationary are moving in the opposite direction. That illusion, Jnaneshwara points to something very beautiful. Somebody who is sitting or standing in the shore of a water body, a lake, sees his image there in his lake. He is enjoying the image, but he knows that he is not associated with the water. He knows that. Like that, the person who owns that he is the knower never associates himself with the doer. He knows that he is not really associated with it. He sees it, but he knows that he is not there. That jnana does exist. He gives that beautiful example. He also gives the boat example, and he gives one other example. Uh, which is the sun. The sun, he says, the sun never moves. It is there in its place. But then we see a sunrise and a sunset. So imagine that knowledge has been there for a very long time, even from Aryabhatta's time and so on. We see that, but it is there. This example is there in Jnaneshwari that the sun never rises nor sets. He is there, but then you experience day and night. But this jnanam, that sun never rises and sets, it makes you makes you wake up the next morning because you're not uncertain that the sun will never rise because you know that sun rises and sets all the time and you know all these seasons. You're not going to be afraid of the coming winter because you know there will be another summer. Punarapi jananam punarapi maranam and so on. So that anatma goes through even a changeless atma is the witness of the changing anatma. He gives so many examples that are so beautiful. Uh, so the point here is for a jnani, action never creates bondage. So Swami Vivekananda once said, I have drunk the potion which makes man God. That was his proclamation. This, which is another cryptic way of just saying that I have owned up the fact that I am the knower and not the doer. Doer exists, but I am just the sakshi. Now Bhagavan praises this vision of karmani akarma darshanam or atma darshanam and moves on to the next verse. Very beautiful verse. We'll just read this verse briefly and then conclude today. Tadetat karmani akarma darshanam stuyate. This ability to see akarma in karma is praised by Bhagavan. So, Yasya sarve samarambhaha. Srinivasji, you want to read? Yasya sarve samarambhaha. Or is anybody wants to read with me? You can. Amitji, you want to read? Yasya sarve samarambhaha.
यस्य सर्वे समारम्भाः
Kama sankalpa varjitaha.
कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिताः
Jnanagnidagdha karmanam.
ज्ञानाधिगध्यकर्माणम्
Tamahuh panditam buddhaha.
तमाहु पंडित बुद्धः
Buddhaha.
बुधा
Yeah. यस्य सर्वे समारंभाः कामसङ्कल्पवर्जिताः ज्ञानाग्निदग्धकर्माणं तम् आहुः पंडितं बुधाः. So, yasya sarve samarambhaha, yasya, he whose samarambhaha, actions are all kama sankalpa varjitaha, free from desire and motive. Kama and sankalpa, desire and motive doesn't exist with him. Jnanagni, why? Jnanagni dagda karmanam. His actions has been burnt by the fire of knowledge. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahuhu panditam buddhaha. They call him the wise person. Buddhaha. The wise call him them pandita. One whose actions are devoid of desire and motives and whose karma is all burnt by the fire of knowledge, him the sages call as wise. So, we will look at the bhashyam for this in our next satsang. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah,
सर्वे
sarve
भवन्तु
santu
सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु
निरामयाः,
निरामयाः
सर्वे
सर्वे
भद्राणि
भद्राणि
पश्यन्तु,
पश्यन्तु
मा
मा
कश्चित्
कश्चित्
दुःखभाग्
दुःखभाग्
भवेत्.
भवेत्
Tat Sat Krishnarpanamastu. Shubharatri to everybody. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Swami.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arvind.